Liang Bingji. He entered a timed eating challenge designed to reward speed over control. In 2018, Liang Bingji took part in a competitive eating event in China. The objective was straightforward: consume as much food as possible within a fixed time window. Faster eating meant a better chance of winning. The format left little room for pacing. Contestants were urged to keep eating continuously, minimizing pauses and chewing time. As speed increased, normal swallowing rhythm began to break down. Breathing and ingestion competed for the same airway. Competitive eating places intense strain on the throat and respiratory system. Swallowing requires precise coordination. When that coordination is rushed, the margin between eating and choking disappears. Midway through the challenge, witnesses noticed Liang slow abruptly. His posture stiffened. He stopped responding. Food had obstructed his airway. People nearby attempted to help, but confusion followed. The event was not prepared for a medical emergency. Critical moments passed without effective intervention. Within seconds, oxygen levels dropped. Loss of airflow progressed rapidly from distress to unconsciousness. By the time emergency services arrived, Liang had been deprived of oxygen for too long. Resuscitation attempts failed. He was pronounced dead shortly afterward. Medical reports confirmed death caused by choking and asphyxiation during the challenge. There were no drugs involved. No hidden condition was required. The outcome came from speed overpowering physiology. The human airway cannot sustain rapid ingestion under pressure, no matter how routine the activity appears. What was presented as entertainment ended the moment breathing stopped. Harris Wolaba. He attempted an internet challenge designed to measure pain tolerance. In 2023, 14-year-old Harris Wolaba took part in the One Chip Challenge, a viral stunt built around consuming a single tortilla chip coated in extremely high concentrations of capsaicin. The goal was endurance. Eat the chip, avoid drinking water, remain on camera as long as possible. The challenge spread rapidly online, promoted through short clips and reaction videos. Participation required no verification, no preparation, and no understanding of physiological risk. Capsaicin is the compound responsible for the sensation of heat. In small amounts, it causes discomfort. In extreme concentrations, it can trigger severe responses. Heart rate accelerates, blood pressure spikes, airways tighten. Breathing becomes irregular as the nervous system enters a stress response. Shortly after consuming the chip, Wolaba showed signs of acute distress. His breathing became labored. Chest pain followed. His condition deteriorated rapidly within minutes. Emergency services were called, and he was transported to the hospital. Doctors attempted treatment, but his condition continued to worsen. Despite medical intervention, he was pronounced dead shortly afterward. Medical reports later identified cardiopulmonary complications linked to extreme capsaicin exposure as the cause of death. The challenge relied entirely on endurance, without accounting for dosage, age, or individual tolerance. Once the body's stress response was overwhelmed, failure was not gradual. It escalated rapidly. What began as a novelty dare crossed into medical emergency almost immediately. The challenge ended when pain tolerance collided with physiological limits. Mike Hughes. He attempted to set a record using a self-built rocket. In 2020, 64-year-old Mike Hughes, known online as Mad Mike, attempted to launch himself thousands of feet into the air using a homemade steam-powered rocket. The goal was to prove the rocket could reach record-breaking altitude. The launch was not part of a sanctioned program. There was no aerospace oversight, no certified safety system. The rocket was built from scrap materials and fueled with pressurized steam. Hughes strapped himself inside and prepared for liftoff in the California desert. The challenge was simple: launch vertically, reach altitude, deploy parachutes on descent. Seconds after liftoff, the rocket accelerated upward. Then something went wrong. Video footage shows the primary parachute deploying almost immediately after launch, while the rocket was still at full thrust. The chute ripped free, tearing away the only descent system. The rocket continued upward with no recovery capability. There was no backup. With no parachute and no control surfaces, the rocket reached its peak and began falling uncontrollably. Hughes had no ability to correct trajectory, no way to slow descent, no escape system. The rocket impacted the ground at high speed. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but Hughes was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators later confirmed the parachute failure occurred during ascent, making survival impossible once separation happened. The challenge failed because experimental systems offer no margin when redundancy is absent. Once the parachute detached, the outcome was already decided. Deja Bennett. She attempted an internet challenge involving open flames. In 2019, 19-year-old Deja Bennett took part in a viral online stunt known as the Fire Challenge. The premise was simple and dangerous. Pour a flammable liquid onto the body, ignite it, and extinguish the flames fast enough to avoid serious injury. Endurance was measured in seconds. The challenge spread rapidly across social media, driven by shock value and short clips. Participants filmed themselves lighting fires on their skin to prove toughness and gain attention online. Bennett poured rubbing alcohol onto her upper body and ignited it. Almost immediately, the situation escalated. Alcohol vapors ignited faster than expected, producing a flash fire that spread across her clothing and skin. The flames expanded beyond anything that could be controlled. She tried to put the fire out. It failed. Within seconds, the fire burned through fabric and into deeper skin layers. Heat penetration accelerated tissue damage faster than any reaction could counter. Emergency services were called, and Bennett was transported to the hospital with severe burns covering a large portion of her body. Doctors initiated aggressive treatment, including burn stabilization, fluid replacement, and organ support. Despite intervention, her condition deteriorated over the following days. Severe burn injuries disrupt fluid balance, weaken immune defenses, and place extreme strain on the heart and lungs. Infection risk rises sharply once protective skin layers are destroyed. Bennett died several days later from complications related to her injuries. Fire does not respond to intention or timing. Once ignition spreads beyond control, recovery is no longer an option. Alex Harville. He attempted to break a distance record on a motorcycle jump. In 2021, stunt rider Alex Harville set out to break the world record for the longest motorcycle jump. The challenge required accelerating off a steep ramp at extreme speed and clearing a gap of more than 350 feet, roughly the length of a football field. The attempt was self-directed and not part of a sanctioned competition. A small team assisted with setup, while the jump was filmed for documentation. Preparation involved repeated practice runs. Each attempt depended on precise variables. Speed had to be exact. Launch angle had to be perfect. Body position determined whether the bike rotated correctly in midair. Too little rotation meant missing the landing ramp. Too much speed increased instability on impact. Once airborne, the outcome was already in motion. During one practice jump, Harville accelerated toward the ramp and launched. In midair, the motorcycle failed to rotate enough to meet the landing zone. He under-rotated. Instead of clearing the ramp, the motorcycle struck the metal landing structure at high speed. The impact destroyed the bike instantly and threw Harville forward. Emergency responders were already on site and reached him within seconds. Despite immediate medical attention, his injuries were catastrophic. He was pronounced dead shortly afterward. Investigators later confirmed there was no mechanical failure. The ramp structure was intact. The motorcycle functioned as intended. The failure came from miscalculation. At that speed, even a minor deviation cannot be corrected. Once momentum is set, the body has no way to intervene. The challenge ended before the official record attempt could be completed. Jennifer Strange. She attempted to win a prize by drinking water without urinating. In 2007, 28-year-old Jennifer Strange entered a radio station contest in California called Hold Your Wee for a Wee. The premise was straightforward. Contestants drank increasing amounts of water while being prohibited from using the bathroom. The last person to endure would win a Nintendo Wii. As the contest progressed, participants were urged to keep drinking. Concerns were raised during the broadcast. Listeners called in to warn about the dangers of water intoxication. The warnings were dismissed, and the challenge continued. With each bottle consumed, the body's electrolyte balance shifted. Sodium levels in the bloodstream dropped rapidly as excess water diluted the blood. Cells throughout the body began absorbing fluid. This condition is known as hyponatremia. At the cellular level, swelling began almost immediately. Most tissues can expand to a degree. The brain cannot. As pressure built inside the skull, neurological function started to fail. Jennifer complained of a headache. Nausea followed. Her speech slowed. Coordination deteriorated. These were early signs of cerebral swelling. The contest continued. After several hours, Jennifer was released from the studio and sent home. Shortly afterward, her condition worsened dramatically. She collapsed, and emergency services were called. At the hospital, doctors attempted to reverse the swelling, but the damage had progressed beyond recovery. Her brain had swollen inside the skull, cutting off vital function. Jennifer Strange was pronounced dead later that day. The official cause of death was acute water intoxication. No substances were involved. No underlying medical condition was required. The challenge failed when endurance was pushed beyond what the human body can safely regulate.